Kia ora, good evening. To Commonwealth nations out there, I keep telling you this over and over and over and over again, but I don't know if it's because I'm shadow banned quite heavily or people just don't get it, but what you need to understand is that the government works for the people on behalf of the king. Your government is the go-between between the people and the king. When the government isn't living up to their part of their electoral agreement, you are allowed to get that government removed. The people, the voters, have the power to remove the government if you sign a petition and take it to the government and they say, no, we're not doing it. Firstly, what you need to understand is that a Prime Minister and the government cannot refuse the people's call for an election. By law, and you can look it up, the Prime Minister cannot refuse the people's right to call an election. The government cannot refuse the people's right to change a law. They can't refuse it. If enough of the voters get behind it, the government have to act because they're acting on behalf of the king. And when they don't do that, when they don't abide by the laws of King's law, which the King's law, the King's prerogative, I can never get it right, prerogative, then there's natural law and God's law. Natural law is any law that governs a man or a woman's, like a voter's, home, so their family, their home, their income, how they make money, their right to protect their family, their right to protect their property. That is one of the highest laws under the British law. The only law higher than that, that's even a higher law above the King's law. The law above that is God's law, the right to defend your God, your Christian God, and your country. Defending your God and defending your country. That's God's law. Natural law is your income, your home, your family, your neighbourhood, your community, right? If the government don't abide by those two laws, which are the two highest laws in the Commonwealth land, you have the right to petition the king. There is an actual website that tells you how to petition the king, and then that bypasses the government and forces the king to get involved legally. You then take all your signatures and you hand them to the king. You have a representative that would then take all of those signatures and hands them to the king, and then it forces the king by law that he is bound to uphold on behalf of his subjects, which is all the Commonwealth nations. He is then forced to get involved and do something. Otherwise, then you're allowed to call for the absolution of the monarchy and even create like a civil war, basically, a uprising. You're then allowed to, like legally, you're allowed to. You have the right to then try to overthrow your government, like legally. So, like pitchforks, going down with pitchforks and ousting them, like you then have the legal right. Which would then also involve the absolution of the monarchy as well, because they weren't representing the people. Because the king or the queen in your country is supposed to be the representative of God. And if the highest law in the land is God's law, which even the king or the queen is bound to, it can't be refused. Otherwise, then the people have the right to remove both the government and the monarchy. So petition the king. If you are from a Commonwealth country, you get all your votes and you bypass the government and go straight to the head of your monarchy, which for us is King Charles. There's an actual website connected to Buckingham Palace, I believe. I believe it is. Don't quote me, but I think it is. Or Buckingham House or something like that. That actually tells you how to petition the king. And if you get all those signatures that you took for the election and the digital ID thing and just land them on the king's desk, he's forced to act, because he too is bound by natural law and God's law. Get it? So that's what you need to do. I'm just saying. Pass it on.